everyone, and welcome to Zest with me, Shel Marie, the podcast that will take you on a journey from the hustle to the harmony, fueling your passion whilst finding your peace. Today, it's an absolute joy to welcome Brooke, aka the Breakthrough Queen. She helps ambitious women rewrite the script on fear, imposter syndrome, and self-doubt that hold them back from stepping into their full power. Through her powerful mix of coaching and somatic work, she guides women to stop overthinking, silence the inner critic, and build unshakable confidence that transforms not only their lives, but their businesses. In this episode, we'll uncover how confidence isn't just something you wait for, it's something you build, and how Brooke's own story and journey of self-belief led her to empower others to rise above fear and truly shine. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. I know something that you shared with me, which particularly, I'm not saying it's always quantum physics, but something that's come up recently when I'm studying that type of area, and I know you do somatic work, is fear is lying to you. I know you say that, so I would love for you to expand a little bit more on that, or maybe share a time where you overcame this and now use this as maybe something that can help other people.
Yeah, because often the work I do is people are scared to do stuff because of something what happened in their childhood. So like their inner child is going, no, 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 we can't do that because if we do that, this will happen, which isn't exactly true. And it's just that your body feels that something's going to happen bad that happened in your childhood, but now you're an adult, it's not going to happen that way. But we kind of like, our bodies feel it so strongly, it actually can stop us doing that. So it's understanding that when we have these fears come up, rather than thinking, okay, I've just got to push through it, yeah, I'll be okay, actually get curious, where's that fear come from? Where's that story come from? And then once we know where that story's come from, we can look at it from a logical point of view rather than an emotional point of view, and think about, okay, well, yes, I thought this when I was 5 or 6 years old, but actually what really happened was X, Y, and Z. So it is that fear in that sense is lying to us because we're believing something that actually happened when we were 6 and with our little 6-year-old imagination trying to piece things together, which isn't always the actual truth that happened then.
Yeah, and obviously the perspective of a 6-year-old to now looking back at it is very different, isn't it? And everything's so much more, I think, intensified when you're a child and your imagination. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, and that makes sense about the somatic work. So I guess then, which I think is really powerful what you've said, rather than, okay, relating to it, feeling it, and knowing, okay, this is a past, something from the past that I want to change. I really like that you say get curious, because yeah, I think you're right. As an adult, sometimes often what we do is we kind of feel it and then just push through, like, okay, no, this is not, but we don't actually dive deeper into it. So I don't know, you can expand on this, but what I've noticed is it comes back and it comes back, and it's almost like, oh, we're doing this again. But I guess if you go and dive deep into it and realize the root of it, I guess that's where it's a lot easier to overcome it, in the sense of, obviously there's always stuff we're working on, we don't just overcome everything, but
yeah, because if we understand where the story comes from, and often it's a belief that wasn't even our belief, it was a belief that we've inherited from our parents, grandparents, teachers, and it's not that I'm in the blame game for it, because they're only repeating what they learned as children and just carried on. But it's actually thinking, actually, does this work for me? And if it doesn't, then why am I still doing it? And if I had £1 for every time somebody came to me and said, well, we've always done it this way in my family, I'd be a lot better off than I am now. Yeah. But it's understanding that we don't have to keep following everything everybody else has done in our family just because it may have worked for them. Because a couple of generations ago, our grandparents and great grandparents were like in the wartime, so scarcity was something that was actually real. You only had a limited amount of butter, you had a limited amount of, but actually that scarcity isn't there anymore for us. so we don't have to have that scarcity feeling, but we carry that with us because that's what
Wow.
we've heard growing up. I know a lot of my clients have come to me, and they've had an issue with food, and they're emotional eaters, and so well, they were brought up with, you have to eat everything on your plate because
Mm.
because our grandparents, our grandparents didn't know whether they'd get food again, sort of thing. So it's really kind of delving into why it was told to us that way, and and often our parents are doing it in a very well-meaning way,
Yeah.
and but they're just using the resources that they've got. I grew up with a generation of like children should be seen and not heard, and don't speak
Mm.
until you're spoken to. And I work with a lot of women similar age to me that feel that they can't speak out and have a voice because that little program running in the back of the head is like, no, we're not good girls if we speak out. Or, because
Mm.
we have to wait until somebody says something to us before we can voice what we want. But actually, that's not the case now as adults.
And I really love what you said because yeah, the way you put it so beautifully about the blame game, because it's again, it doesn't mean like no one intentionally was like creating that for that to be something that limits you later on in life. And actually, it's just like what you say, it's almost like a generational thing of even sometimes just hearing it and continuing it through the generation without knowing the root of it. And as soon as you said about like great grandparents and the war and stuff, like it just, yeah, like even though I very much, when things come up in my life, really like to dive into it, I didn't even think to go that far back, Like I always think it's like something so close to me still, and something it would have to be something in my childhood or something. But no, actually, thank you so much for bringing that up because that really shows that often it's not even actually linked to us a lot of the time. It's so
Yeah.
far back. Um, and yeah, that would make complete sense. And then it's ironic because at that time, they probably wouldn't have even associated with scarcity because it was the norm of how they lived. Whereas we look
Absolutely.
back now and wow.
And it's like when our parents said to us, don't do that. What will people think? Without
Mm,
kind of realizing the impact of that. Now, we grow up being careful of what we do because we're worried about what people think about being judged. But our
mm,
parents, what they were actually saying were, if you do that, because it's a bit out of the norm or a bit different, people will think that I'm not a good parent. So their inner child was like feeling
mm.
insecure. So that was their way of actually dealing with it. And they also heard it from their parents who heard it from their parents.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing, and when I was growing up, it was really strange because I grew up on a farm. So our neighbors as such were like a mile down the road. We didn't technically, but my mother used to say, you can't do that. What will the neighbors think? And I
Yeah.
used to think, well, we haven't really got any neighbors. So, you know, you know, and I don't think, we had like fields and fields of carrots and potatoes. And I think, well, I'm really sure that the carrots and potatoes couldn't care less what I'm wearing or doing kind of thing. But that's
Oh,
what, our parents grew up hearing. It's like,
yeah.
what will people think? You need to act in a certain way. And I don't think any parents particularly mean to put us in a certain mold or a box, but unless you kind of get curious about it and kind of delve where those sayings come from, we just
Mm.
repeat them. And I'm sure everybody who's ever been a parent has said, oh my goodness, I wish I hadn't said that. I sound just like my parent.
Yeah. You're so right. And it's I don't know why, but immediately after you said that, it's ironic that it's almost switched to like the digital look now as well. Like, why don't put that up, like or like is the house clean or is this or that? Like now it's like, yeah, everything amplified, isn't it?
Yeah, and
um
people worry about, should I post that content, or what should I say? What should I do? Or I can't post that selfie. What will people think of me?
mm,
And that kind of thing. And I finished it in August, but I decided to do 365 days of doing daily videos on LinkedIn.
wow.
And I had so many women say, "Oh my goodness, yeah, I couldn't do that, because my hair's always a mess, or my makeup's never quite right, or I'm never quite sure what to wear." So I did a video where I literally got up one Saturday morning, threw on an old hoodie, and just jumped on video and said, "Okay, right, I'm telling you now, I haven't had a shower, I haven't even washed my face, I haven't brushed my teeth, my
Mm.
hair needs a wash, and I've got an old hoodie on." And so many women were like, oh my goodness, if you hadn't have said that, we wouldn't have known because, your hair looks fine to us, and you can't really
Oh,
tell it's an old, I knew it was an old hoodie, but you couldn't really tell that from the video. And it made a
mhm.
lot of women realize that actually how we perceive ourselves is completely different to how
Mm,
others actually see us as well. And they said,
yeah.
thank you for doing that and sort of showing that up, and it was making other women think it's okay to just come on video and not be perceived as whatever is they think should be perfect, and just do their video and get their message out there.
I love that so much, and that makes sense why you're called the breakthrough queen because, like it's not just in those times with the clients, it's actually, and of course, none of us are perfect, but actually, how am I showing up every day? How am I really showing that? And it might not have done, but you might have had that thought come in and then think, actually, no, I need to do this because that's something that's limiting me, or even just from that conversation you had with someone. So it's so powerful. And it almost had so many layers to it
Mm,
because it was that conversation that did that action, but then it got the kind of perceived conversation wasn't actually the reality of what happened. It's like so
exactly,
many
yeah.
layers.
Yeah, and I actually said on the video, do you think any less of me because I've actually come on and done that? And so many women were messaging me in it and sending me personal messages saying, "Oh my goodness, I really admire
Yeah.
you for this coming on and just walking your talk sort of thing." And it's how we perceive ourselves that often stop us doing the things that nobody else is even thinking about us. Because in reality, and I say this with in a loving way to my clients, you're not that important to anybody else
Yeah.
because everybody else is so worried about what they look like to worry about what you're doing and what you look like and what you're saying. And once you can kind of get over your own ego in that way, other people don't care.
Yeah.
So it's like just go and do your thing and enjoy your life and do what's important to you.
Absolutely. And then I think on the almost the opposite scale of that is I know that you do a lot of work and talk with a lot of your clients about even though externally they look like they're thriving, it's the opposite. So it's kind of like the two ways, which is ironic because essentially all we want aligned within and without, that's what we all hopefully aim to achieve. But again, we're all on our own little paths and missions. So in that sense, like, what would you say for the opposite side of it, where it's actually externally almost like the imposter syndrome?
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's been aligned with the inside and the out. So many people spend so much stuff making sure the outside looks great. They
Mm,
actually don't think about the inside. And we can have as many plans and strategies and ideas as we want, but unless you've done the inner work and you feel good enough in yourself and confident enough in yourself, those plans and strategies aren't going to work out, even if they've been
mm,
done by the most fantastic strategist on the earth. If you don't feel good enough, you will sabotage that in some way, or procrastinate, or find some reason not to actually do it, and come up with some sort of excuse because your inner child is going, no, no, that's too
yeah.
scary. And how I often talk about it is, I want people to imagine that their inner child is a bit like a puppet master. When you
Mm,
feel confident to do something, like if I would say to somebody, if you drive a car, if I said to you, can you just pop to the shop and get some milk? No, no issue with that. Your body doesn't react. But if you've got a fear of speaking, I say, okay, can you stand up and speak in front of 100 people? Suddenly your body's going like this. And that's because
mm,
your inner child is quite happy being the puppet master and letting you dance when you're feeling confident
mm.
about something. But when you want to go and do something that logically as an adult you can do, but your inner child is like, yeah, but the last time we did that, this happened. That
Mm,
your inner child will kind of pull those strings back and go, no, it's not happening. And then that's when the imposter syndrome, the self-sabotage, or the procrastination comes into play because your inner child doesn't want to do it because
mm.
it's although it can be painful to procrastinate or to have that imposter syndrome, it's less painful than your inner child feeling that wound of not feeling good enough or
Yeah,
not feeling important.
absolutely. And like, it's ironic, like I don't know why, but it just came straight to mind. Like even down to, like, I remember in school where you'd stand up, like literally used to get you to stand up and read a part or answer the question. And it was like, why were we told to stand up? Like, like even sitting down and directing a question at a child is like quite extreme, but like we have to stand up so everybody looks at us. And like what you're saying, I'm just thinking like that again could have just been such like a massive thing for the inner child of like, oh no, I remember what last time happened when I stood up and everyone else was sat down, because that is the situation, isn't it? Like not
Yeah.
everyone stood up with you when you're on a stage, off a stage, and all the eyes are on you. So wow, you've brought up so many things, and I know like even so many people listening will straight away be able to go back and relate to it in their own way, which I think is super, super important. I know you also talk about self-compassion being a compass or importance for self-confidence as well.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings and we all make mistakes. But I always like to think of them, okay, well, something didn't go quite to plan. Let's look at it as a lesson and
Mm,
see what we can learn from it and be our own best friend and our own best
yeah,
cheerleader, because we're so quick to beat ourselves up and put ourselves down. And when I say to my clients, would you say that to your best friend? Like, well, no, why not? Because it would hurt her, it wouldn't do her
mm,
any good. But we don't think about that to ourselves. But when you start being your own best friend and your own biggest cheerleader, things will start to change, because when you do something that doesn't quite go to plan, you don't suddenly think, oh, how can you be so stupid? You should know better than that, and all these kind of things. You can actually go, okay, well, that was interesting. I wasn't expecting it to go that way. What can I learn from this, and what can
yeah.
I grow from this and move forward with it? So I mean, nowadays when I do things like that, I will repost them and talk about them on social media and think, okay, oh, that's great, I've just really messed that up. That'll make a great post and maybe help somebody else. And I don't spend hours like beating myself up like I used to years ago. I'd really
Mm.
spend like weeks putting myself down and really having a go at myself, which doesn't do anybody any good.
No. Thank you for being so vulnerable and raw and real, because it's in those times where we can actually do that. Like, of course, it's not saying, air all your laundry online, but there's always that moment where you stop and you think, actually, I've just had a real breakthrough or something from this. In sharing that kind of helps maybe someone else that might be going through that process. And through, like, I believe the power of storytelling, people can then, even if they don't want to associate it with them, they can say, oh, I remember a time when someone said this happened to them, and it almost like takes that pressure off and doesn't make them feel alone, I think, which is back to that compassion, not just for yourself, but maybe for others to feel like I'm not alone. I'm not the only one. So I think that's really powerful.
Yeah,
Thank
and it's
you.
also important, I think. There's a great saying, like to talk from the scar and not the wound. So when you're
Mm,
actually in it, don't be talking about it. But
yeah.
when you've actually got over it and kind of can look back, then you're kind of talking from the healed scar, and you can then sort of like talk about what you've learned from it. Because nobody wants to see somebody that's constantly upset and crying,
Yeah.
or whatever. But actually, when you can like talk from it from a logical, okay, well, I did this and did that, or maybe if I'd have done it this way or that way, you know. I mean,
Mm,
one of the classic ones I remember, I put a TikTok out and it got 6,000 views. And after that got 6,000 views, I realized I'd spelt "you're" wrong. I'd put YOUR instead of YOU apostrophe RE.
mm-mm.
But I just screenshotted it and then did a social media post about it. But the thing is, out of those 6,000 people, nobody messaged me to say your grammar's completely wrong. But a
Yeah.
lot of women messaged me to say, thank you very much. I needed to hear that today. So it's
It's
like,
so powerful.
and
Yeah.
I just put the lesson to myself, check the autocorrect before you actually post it, my reel. And so I learned a lesson from that. So I just double check my headline before I put out a video or a title or whatever I've just written.
Isn't that the, like, again, even with that you shared? it's like despite all of the 6,000, which I'm sure again you really felt the impact of that. You concentrated on the other thing. Like we'll still always notice the one thing that's like no one's really paying attention to.
Yeah.
And I think I'm so happy that you brought that up because it shows like even being a coach, even, like what you say, owning it, showing up as much as possible. How can this like help others? We're still human and we still,
Yeah.
we still see very different. And so like even though like the celebration of it and the impact of wow, 6,000 people, and then it's like, oh my gosh, I did the spelling wrong. 6,000 people have seen it. And I just think like actually it's quite humbling, isn't it? I think it's nice sometimes, actually having these bring us back down to earth moments are important.
Yeah, and it's like when I was doing my videos, after I've been doing a few weeks, somebody said to me, "Do you have any bloopers in them?" I said, "Well, I don't actually edit any of my videos once they get rolling, but sometimes at the start, my mouth doesn't seem to want to engage in my brain, so I just kind of like delete it and start again." I said, "Well, why don't you save them?" And
Mm.
so I got to the stage where I was saving them and put them together, and it called it my Friday bloopers. And I had so many comments about it saying, "Oh my goodness, like you look like you're so confident in your videos. It's
Love
really
it.
nice to see that, somebody like you, even though you sound really confident during the week, that sometimes you have to do a couple of takes and you do make mistakes and your words don't always come out great." And that's I wanted to like let people know that yes, just because I'm a coach and a therapist, it doesn't mean to say, I'm not getting it right all the time, because at the end of the day I'm a human being and sometimes the
Yeah.
words don't always want to come out the right way out my mouth.
I love that so much, Brooke. Like, yeah, and that's why I kind of love this style because if again I had like the just around the role and things like that, I don't feel like these natural conversations like you see, these natural conversations would just develop. And I feel like I know it's all a journey, but I do feel like people now, there was a time, and I know it was all more new and shiny, but people are owning it now. People are kind of, something drops and carrying on. And I think there's beauty in that. There's beauty in the mess sometimes. Because actually I think people crave more of that like feeling like how we are. We don't come on, we don't just meet our friends and have the most perfect conversation or everything's all aligned. So I love that you do that. And I don't know why I'm still thinking about this, but I'm super impressed you did 365 days. Like what? I just realized you kind of like just kind of skimmed over that a little bit. And I'm like, some people do 30, 90 days. You did the whole year. Let's
Yeah.
what?
Well, because I'm really self-aware and I know that challenges work for me, because a couple of years ago I challenged myself to write and publish a book in 90 days and
Wow.
did that. So I had this kind of like love-hate relationship with LinkedIn, and then a friend of mine was having really good fun on there, and I thought I love to have fun. I thought I need to like revisit it. So I decided I was going to consistently post on there. Then LinkedIn brought in the new video feature. So I thought, oh, I'm just going to do some videos. I thought, I know myself well enough. If I just say I'm going to do some videos, I'll do a couple and get bored. And so I thought, right, I'll challenge, but I needed to challenge myself. That was something that would stretch me. And doing videos, I don't find an issue now. A few years ago, I would have done, but not nowadays. So I thought, okay, well, I'll challenge myself to do 365. And even if I only do 90 or do 100, that would have been 100 more than I probably would have ended up doing. So I just went in with that attitude, and people kept saying, "Oh my god, how did you manage that?" And I broke it really down quite simply to doing one video with one piece of content for one day. And I didn't think I need like 365 days of content or 365 days of videos, because my inner child would have gone, ah, no, we're not doing
Yeah.
that. So it was like, just okay, I can do one video for one day. That's,
I love
and they were
that.
like 90-second videos, or maximum they were like occasionally were like 5 minutes, but most of them were like about 90 seconds. So it it wasn't like, I was doing like, a huge half an hour video every day. I wouldn't have had time to do that, but yeah.
But I think even in that, I love the way you're just explaining that, because again, it shows that we actually put the pressure on ourselves,
Yes.
because no one said to do a 30-minute video. But again, it's like almost like we kind of put the time in or the effort based on it, but actually no, like you could get your point across in 60 seconds. And sometimes we feel like we need to be giving more, because we have this, like, maybe from a younger age of like, oh, the more we put in, the more we get out and things like
Mm.
that. But even that I love, like, you actually, and I'm not even saying this, like, you've really got me thinking today, and I'm actually thinking I really want to, I love that idea, and I really want to think of something, and yeah, I want to push myself, I want to really go for it. So thank you for that.
It is, and it's like, okay, what can I challenge myself to? And one of the reasons I decided to write and publish a book in 90 days, it wasn't to be, a New York Times best-selling author or anything. It was to get other people to think, because I love to get people to think differently. And I thought, well, if I then announced it on, I was on Facebook, so I wasn't on LinkedIn. I announced it on Facebook and said that I would document every day for 90 days the ups and downs of writing a book. And people at the start said, "Oh my goodness, you're so brave. I could never do that." Blah blah blah. But as time went on, people were saying, "I've decided I've got a title for
Wow.
my book. I've started writing my book." Other people are saying they've gone for promotion. Others gone for their dream job. Other people have started a business. And one person even said, "Well, if you can do that in 90 days, I can ask this person out for a cup of coffee that I've been putting off for ages." So to
Wow.
me, before the book was published, it was a success because it was getting other people to think about what they could do. No, I'm not one of these kind of people that, right, I wrote and published a book in 90 days, so you can do it, because everybody's different and not everybody wants to write a book. But
Mm.
if I can inspire people to just think differently about what they could do and what they could achieve in 90 days, then it to me that was a great success, and I absolutely
Mm.
loved doing it. So and people felt like they were coming along on the journey with me.
Well, that for me is the powerful thing that I'm hearing right now is, and it's nothing to anyone who's gone through it and then does a course or something, but there's a big difference whether someone is interested in the writing the book or not. It's irrelevant, like what you said. It was just going through that process with you, being with you, feeling your emotions and how you're kind of navigating everything. Like, this is the beauty, is it's kind of like write a book in 90 days is kind of like you're only attracting the people that want to write the book in 90 days, but the process you went through, well, if you can do that, I'm going to ask him out for a coffee. Like, where did that come from? But that's the beauty.
Yeah.
Oh, honestly, you're really inspiring me. I'm feeling so like inspired, because I feel like we started with 360 five 365. I don't know where I got 360 from. Anyway, 360 degrees. And then, yeah, like I love the next part. Like, it's almost like the combination of the two, because my mind always wants to be like, okay, well, what's the intention, like the impact behind it? Okay, Shelley, say you could do a video for 365 days, but actually you're just doing that just because it's for you, or you're doing it with some sort of purpose. And even if you don't have the purpose, like some people just need that kind of challenge for themselves.
Mm.
But I think 365 days just to get used to putting videos up is a long time.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it if you're not used to doing videos. Maybe
No.
think to yourself, right, I'm going to do 7 videos, or
Yeah,
do one video a week for a month or
yeah,
whatever. But I mean, I did, because I get bored quite easy as well, and I like to have fun. I did them with all different color wigs on as well, and I even done one with a
oh, I
kitchen
love it.
colander on my head. I've done one dressed up in like monkey outfit, saying like I'm your inner chimp, and it was quite interesting when I went to like in-person networking or even online. People say, "Oh my god, I saw that video with your bright green wig, and I absolutely loved what you said," because, and then I think, well, I've got no idea who you are, but they knew who I was, so it was actually
Mm,
doing what I wanted it to do, was like raise my visibility on LinkedIn. And I got, some people say, "Oh my goodness, you're that video lady, aren't you?" Yeah, I'm not sure who you are,
beautiful.
but yeah, it was, and it was having fun as well, because like my message is to like think about your inner child or your inner
Yeah.
chimp that's stopping you from doing what you want to do. So I thought my husband's got a onesie monkey outfit. So I dressed up in that and just said, like, I'm in a chimp and I'm scared because blah, blah, blah. And people are like, oh my goodness, that's absolutely amazing. And then I did one with a colander on my head talking about we grow up here and oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. And I didn't mention the colander on my head, but at the end of the video, I said, and somebody said to me, I can't do a video with a colander on my head for LinkedIn. And I kind of just pointed to it. As it turns out I can. It's not easy to do though, but you have to stand really still. But yeah, and it was just to get people sort of like to stop scrolling to listen to what I had to say and just
Mhm.
to kind of think about actually just because you're in business and you're a business person, you don't have to be so serious all the
No.
time. You can have fun with it and enjoy life. So that's what I did. I'd dress up and like when I got married, I actually had a little tiara, so I put that on and said, "I am the breakthrough queen, and I am owning it," kind of thing. Like step into your own power, own who you are and what you want to
Yeah.
do.
Oh, I love that so much. And there's a part of me that's kicking myself that I don't like. You're actually now making me think I should do a little bit of investigation work into my guests, because I personally like to be like inquisitive and not know as much. But if I did know that, I would have definitely put a commenter on my head and said hello. So, because like this is the thing that I'm hearing from you. It's not just the breakthrough, and I guess I'd love your take on it. But that goes back to the somatic practices of when you can do it, and you can do it with fun. And obviously, not everything is always going to be fun, but like you can try and find the fun in it. That's
Yeah.
what reprograms that's what changes it, because then you have like almost a new story, a new narrative of. Do you know what? I absolutely loved doing that video yesterday, and that old kind of thought, belief, whatever it was, has gone eventually over time. So I think that's really powerful what you've just
Yeah, and
mentioned.
and this is why I'm so passionate about the somatic work, because I started on my journey of doing like my mindset, and I had a really strong mindset. It was like feel the fear and do it anyway kind of
Mm,
thing. And I was stood at the back of a hall once getting all mic'd up to go on stage, and my head was going, yeah, 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 yeah. And my body was going, I want to run in the opposite
yeah.
direction. I thought, there's something not going on quite right here. I feel like I'm fighting against myself. So then I kind of researched a
Mm,
bit more and realized that when you've had like something in your childhood that's been quite traumatic, it can get stuck in your body.
yeah.
And once I release that out of my body, it's like, okay, now my inner child feels safe and she feels good enough and worthy. So then now when I go and do a talk on stage, my body and my inner child are going, yeah, yeah, let's do it. And my head's going, yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So I can actually go and enjoy doing it. Yes, I have like those bit of nerves because I want to do a good job and I'm a human after all,
yeah.
but that fear doesn't stop me, or I'm not going up on stage with my heart pounding and my palms sweating and a dry
Mm,
mouth and thinking, oh, I just want to get this over with. And I think we connect better with our audience when we can do that, when we are more relaxed and feel in line with our body and our mind. And that's the thing I'm really passionate about, helping people to get their logical part of their mind, but they know they've got the skills and their knowledge, actually connecting with their body and get their body up to speed with it's okay to do these things now.
mm,
Yes, you may have had a bad experience in the past, and it doesn't mean to say, I mean, I had quite a traumatic childhood. I had a narcissistic mother, but even people that have had really kind, loving parents
mm,
often have something that's held them back, whether it's another child being nasty in the school playground, or a teacher saying something, or an aunt or an uncle teasing them at the wrong
mm,
time. And children see things very black and white and take things sometimes the wrong way than that they were intended, and that will
mm.
stick with them. So it's understanding the story of what we're carrying around with us and where it come from, and actually, does this serve me or does it not? And if it does
Mm.
serve you, great, carry on doing it. But if it doesn't, let's look into that. Let's change that so you can really go for what you want to go for.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I know that, and this is why it's important to have these conversations where you share this, because, um, like, there's what you shared of the excitement, the two like polarities of your body and your mind, but if you kind of don't really know, or you've not investigated in how to align them, that's why like just because we might be a coach, or we have so many blind spots, and that's why it's
Mm.
important. And I love having these conversations with incredible leaders like you, because it's in listening to the storytelling or the journey, or the unfolding, that someone can say, oh yeah, this actually was something that happened to me last time. And that's why it's important we all connect and we all realize there are different multiple ways that we can seek support and have that guidance. And I think it's really important what you've highlighted here. And even with me, it's getting me thinking now of yeah, it's almost like sometimes this get up and get on with it. But no, like, actually, the mothering, more nurturing side of us. Actually, can we take a moment right now and really feel into this? Obviously, there's times also where it's like 3, 2, 1, you need to be on stage. Like, we're not going to be
Yeah.
feeling through it all. But then that could also be a powerful way of you facing that fear on stage and opening up honestly to the people in front of you, and having almost that like healing experience with everyone involved.
Yeah.
Because I guess when we face it and we just own it, then we kind of don't have anything to hide from, do we?
Yeah, and I often say that to people. They say, "Oh, yeah, I'd love to do a live, but my hair's not quite right." So, well, go on and do a live and say, "Don't take any notes on my hair. It needs washing. I know it's a mess, but I just wanted to come on and chat." Because then people aren't going to say, "Oh, look at your hair," because you've already owned it. That is, you need to wash or whatever it is, or if you've got a spot on the end of your nose or something, that's appeared just before you're
Yeah.
going to get. Just mention it rather than trying to hide it, because everybody gets a spot, let's face it. Everybody's got a
Yeah.
day where their hair doesn't go quite to plan, or whatever. And it's showing that side of us that, yeah, we're a normal human being, not just a
Mm.
business person, that so we connect more with the people then.
Or even now, it's just getting me thinking, and the inner child is obviously enjoying this and laughing. Like, just shove a colander on your head. Sorry, I really didn't want you to see my spot, so I just thought,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Yeah.
just like I see, like, it's just that fun. I'm really, really enjoying this conversation with you, and thank you so, so much. So is there anything coming up or anything you would like to share that people can get in touch and involved with you? I'll put all your details in the description, so don't feel like you have to reel off all your email addresses and
Yeah.
um
I will say on the podcast, if anything's come up that people are, oh, I'd like to sort of explore more about that, I do offer a complimentary call. So if you send me an email, you can
amazing.
have a complimentary 20-minute call. And if anybody is struggling with self-sabotage, they can buy my book on Amazon as well. So that's available on Amazon.
You
So
can have it all. Yes,
yes,
yes, yes, yes. I love that. Finally, this has been an absolute pleasure, and I know there's so much more, but I don't want to use too much more of your time. If there was someone listening right now, just off the top of your head, if something comes up, can't get my words out now. On the top of your head, if someone listening right now would really benefit from hearing something, what would you tell them?
that they are good enough just as they are, and
Yeah.
go out and do what you want to do, because it's okay to have your dreams and to go for them, rather than thinking, oh, should I do this because what will other people think? Because everybody else is worrying about what everybody else is thinking. So just go for what you want, and you are good enough just as you are.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I really appreciate you.
Okay. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed chatting with you.